They say motherhood is a journey, but let's be honest, sometimes it feels more like a roller coaster with no seatbelt. I bet you're like me, wondering why babies, or teens in my case, don't come with instruction manuals. Welcome to This Incredible Mom Life, the podcast that celebrates the beautiful chaos, quiet wins, messy moments, and everyday miracles of being a mom. I'm your host, Dummy, wellness coach, mom of three boys, and a passionate believer that you don't have to live at the mercy of PMS, burnout, or exhaustion. Join me every week as we hear the craziest and most unbelievable mom stories. I'll be sharing the huge accomplishments and triumphs of both our moms and their kids. We'll giggle, cheer on the kids, and discuss obstacles and lessons learned along the way. If you are struggling to be the best mom you can be, how open-minded are you to booking a free call with me? You don't have to live at the mercy of your cycle, and you definitely don't have to do it alone. Give yourself permission to let me be part of your support system. I believe that you weren't meant to just survive motherhood. You were meant to thrive in it. Hello and welcome back. This is This Incredible Mom Life podcast. I am here with another Supermom guest with me. Dr. Crystal Ann England is a licensed marriage and family therapist, certified grief specialist, and certified clinical trauma professional with over 17 years of experience guiding individuals and families through healing and transformation. Dr. England holds a PhD in marriage and family therapy from Southeastern University and brings a deeply cultural lens to her work, shaped by her roots in Brooklyn, South Florida, and Jamaica. She specializes in supporting women, mothers, and families as they navigate identity, grief, trauma, and life transitions through narrative therapy, somatic practices, and intergenerational storytelling. She's also the creator and host of The Narrative, a podcast centering healing conversations across generations and curates therapeutic retreats and creative spaces that invite people to move from silence to secrets to storytelling. At the heart of her work is a powerful belief that our stories hold wisdom and that healing happens when we truly are seen, heard, and rooted in authenticity. Dr. England, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It'll be fun. So let's get started and tell me who you are a mom to.
I am a mom to two little girls who are 7 and 5. And I've always felt a very deep connection to the sun and the moon. And so my girls are the sun and the moon. It's Luna and Sunny.
Oh, I love that.
Which I have like my little tattoos and
That's so cute. I love that. And so you're in the elementary school busy time.
Yeah.
Yep.
PTO mom, all the stuff.
Yep, me too. It's fun. I miss it a little bit. I'm still a PTA mom, but it's different at the middle school and high school level. It's a lot less involvement in the classroom and things like that. So enjoy it while you can.
I am enjoying it. Yes.
Oh, amazing. All right. Well, tell us a story about your girls.
So, I feel like our kids are always mirroring all the things that sometimes lessons that maybe we've been running from or lessons that maybe we miss. So a few months ago, my little ones spilled, because they are in this age where they want to pour their own drinks. Fine, sure, independence. Let's be independent. We love that. Yes, go pour your own drink. But when it gets a little heavy, and then all of a sudden that little arm gives away, and then so my daughter is pouring the orange juice, and then I just watch her go like this. And it just but she's holding it and just pouring it out. I'm like, honey, pick it up. Pick it up. It's okay. Pick it up. Use the other hand. By the time she realized that she could pick it up, the entire floor is covered in orange juice. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe moving forward, you're not allowed to pour the juice if it's full. Like if it's a full container, because it's very heavy. We went into this whole thing. And the whole time, my older daughter, my oldest, is like watching me. She says, you know, mommy, when you spill, you don't yell at yourself.
Mm, it is true.
I said, you're right. You're right. And so, something I've always told them ever since they were kids was that you're new on this planet. So, you're still learning. Mommy's been on the planet for a while. So, I know some things. So, of course, again, here goes my oldest. She says, Mommy, remember, we're still new on this planet.
Yes.
I'm like, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. So, I'm so grateful to have kids that are articulate, that are perceptive, and that in those moments where I'm not paying attention of my footprint and how I'm moving through the world, that they lovingly like slow me down and bring me back to, okay, what kind of mom do I want to be, right? And how do I need to be showing up? Am I allowing them to make mistakes? Am I allowing them to be kids? Am I being the kind of mom that I want? And I'm so grateful that I have these little girls who keep me in check, right? And that I give them permission to keep me in check, I
Yeah.
think too. Because I don't know about for you, Amy, but my mom did not allow me to keep her in check. I would have gotten like, be quiet and go to your room, right? Yeah. So it's a blessing because I get reminded of being my best self.
Yes. I love that you taught your kids that they are new, right? They're still experiencing things. And they're not afraid to speak up and tell you that. I love that. Um, and just to give you a heads up, my teenagers will still fill the cup to the top and spill. And I'm like, can you just stop at like 3/4? Like they're all bigger than me now, right? They're taller than me, they're bigger than me. So I know they're strong enough to hold this
Yeah.
gallon of juice or whatever. And they fill it, they insist on filling it to the top and it spills over. And I'm looking at them like 3/4 full. And they're just like, oh, I'm like, can you clean that up? No. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. I guess you learn when you're out on your own and mom's not there to help you clean it up or do whatever.
When it's your money spent that
Yes.
gets wasted every time the juice spills, right? Maybe then you learn the lesson.
Yeah. And some now they won't tell me, right? So if I'm not in the kitchen or they bring breakfast on their own and this that, and I'll come down and I'll just see this stain on the tablecloth, and I'm like, what's that? And I lift it up, and at least they know to put like a napkin underneath. But I'm like,
Okay.
all right, you like half cleaned up. We're getting there. But yeah, it's oh my, spilling drinks.
So I
That's
still have to look forward to this even in the teenage years, is what you're telling me, Amy.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maybe not with the girls, but definitely with my boys. Like they will overflow the cereal bowl with the milk, the juice glass. It's just like I'm like, did you not see it like filling, and then it's overflowing, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's a learning process. So now at least they help me clean up, but I still have to finish it. And then I'm like, I just washed this tablecloth like 2 days ago, and now I have to wash it again.
Yeah. You're brave because you have tablecloths. I don't even bother. I just let the table be bare. I'm like,
We have a
wait,
nice wood table. I'm like, I don't want to ruin it.
I just put a runner. I'm like, here's a runner because I can throw that in the wash,
Yeah.
like every day if I need to. But a tablecloth, there's no way because that thing would be ruined.
Yeah. Well, I have three boys, so to cover the entire table, it's just easier.
Oh my goodness.
But I love the lessons that you're teaching your kids, and I hope they carry those on with them into adulthood.
Me too.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So my profession is I am a therapist. Um, I've always, some people, I feel like there's different kinds of people, right? Some people know when they're really young what they want to be. And I think I knew rather early on. I didn't know the name exactly. I remember thinking I wanted to be, and I tell the story all the time. It was my eighth grade dance. Um, and it was like the last day of school, and all the kids were having fun and dancing and talking. And I have always been very observant. And so I was sitting on top of a desk and I'm just kind of like watching all the different cliques of like these people over here, these people over here, and those girls in the back, and the boys over there doing mischief. And I remember just being like, and my teacher walks over and she says, I love that you're so observant. Like you're always paying attention and watching and taking note. And like I see your brain going. And she's like, I hope you never lose that. And I that was the first time someone had pointed out to me that that was even something that I did. Um, so my mom is one of 15. My dad is one of six. So I come from a very big family. So ever since I was little, I've kind of always, how can I say, scoping out the scene is how you stay safe, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of learn like which aunties and uncles to stay away from.
Mm-hmm.
When you kind of know which cousins to stay away from, or what cousins um so part of this came very natural because I come from such a big family. I'm always observing to see for safety, right? Emotional safety, physical safety. But I didn't realize that that was a skill that I could then use in a profession. And until this teacher pointed this out, right, that this was like a great skill that I had. So fast forward, I always said I want to be a psychology doctor, right? But I have my bachelor's in psychology, and as I was going into figuring out my master's, I remember I was going into a clinical psychology program, and I met with the staff, and it felt so cold, like very sterile. And I was like, I don't want to do clinical psychology. This is not something I want to do. Long story short, I met with someone who was a part of the marriage and family therapy program, where they were like, this is a lot more of a warm, it's very systemic, it's very, it doesn't feel as sterile. And the moment that I met with that advisor, I learned more. I was like, oh my goodness gracious, marriage and family therapy is perfect because it's all about systems, right? And again, coming from a big family, systems is the language that I spoke, but there wasn't a name for it. So being able to exist within the family system and then exist within these additional systems, it was natural for me. So I'm saying all of that to say, when I found marriage and family therapy, it was like, this is perfect. And that's kind of how I got into the field of just, I've always known that I wanted to do this work. And I think it's always come very easy for me. Um, and a lot of the work that I do now, so fast forward to now, the majority of the work I do is with systems. So I work a lot with couples. So what I do is I'll see the husband separate, I'll see the wife separate, I see them together. I'll even sometimes bring in the mother-in-law, bring in the kids. I also work a lot with moms and daughters. So I will work with the mom separate, the daughter separate, then I work with them together. Um, Sometimes we'll bring in dad, say, hey, dad, come and weigh in on this relationship. Let's talk about that. I am very, very comfortable working with I'm actually probably more comfortable working with a bunch of people in the room. And again, because that's what I come from, right? Is yeah, I talk about this and I get so excited because I really enjoy the work that I do and being able to help families make sense sometimes of the chaos and figure out better ways of existing together and healing and growing.
Nice. Now you work with, I guess, multicultural families and immigrant
Yes.
families, right?
Yes.
Um, so talk about some of the challenges that immigrants face when they try to assimilate into a new culture.
Oh, goodness. Do we have time for this, Amy? Um, so, you know, there's so many facets to this that we could touch on. But I guess one of the things that I find quite often in the work that I do is when we talk about immigrant families, um, for the kids, something that I see a lot is the parentification, which is essentially the kids having to be growing up and being like parents, right? To their parents, which is
Yes.
interesting because so you come to this country, your parents don't know how things work. Your parents don't know how to pay bills. They don't know how to navigate certain, again, go back to systems, how to navigate the DMV or to navigate the school system or how to navigate the workplace or how to get certain benefits if you don't have financial stability, right? All of these different things. And so as a child, they sometimes they expect you because you're more familiar with how certain things work, they want you to kind of bridge the gap. But then what happens is you play this role of helping your parents, but then when you have to then step back into being a kid, sometimes your parents are like, remember you're a child. But then it's like, wait, but I pay your bills for you. I'm the one who also opened your bank account. I'm also the right. So you're
Yeah.
doing all of these things as almost an adult or the parent of your parents, it feels like sometimes, but then you're reminded quickly that you're just a child. And this is so confusing because one thing as humans that we don't do well, we do not play multiple roles well. We don't. Either I'm a child or I'm the parent. Don't make me do both because I we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to navigate these dual relationships. We don't, and so I find that a lot of times it's really helpful to remind immigrant parents of it is not fair to rely on your children.
Mhm.
You have to figure out how to navigate this the same way that they're figuring it out because they don't know either. They have to figure it out. Do not put that burden on your children, right? No offense, but you're the parent. I know it's hard. Figure it out. Because what happens is then what I see long term is 45-year-old women who then have picked up a husband that they are also parenting,
Mhm.
right? Because again, we don't know how to lock that part off. So when we are a parent in major relationships as a child, we then assume that relationship then even in our romantic relationships. Um, Even within work, then at work, we feel that we're responsible for taking care of all the people, right? And so it bleeds into every facet of our life where we are feeling that we are responsible for taking care of everybody. And this is where burnout comes, right? So now you're 45 and you're like, why am I so tired of everybody and everything? And it might seem so simple to your parents of like, oh well, I was just asking you to navigate these systems, but it has these long-term effects. As I'm saying that, Amy, is anything even like resonating with you?
Yeah, yeah. No, I see it, having immigrant parents myself. I mean, I was born and raised in the US, but I have other family members and things who the families came when the kids were older and this and that. And I've seen that both in my family and as a healthcare provider. I've seen that in the offices, right, where the child is translating
Filling out
the
paperwork, I'm sure.
symptoms. Yeah, and the if I give a medication, the child will be like, okay, this is how. Like I have to tell the kid, and then they tell the parent how to take it, and I'm relying on that, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we have translation services and this and that in the hospital, but in the small offices, sometimes it's not available. So I have seen that, and I do uh, totally agree that the kids are taking on much more responsibility than I think they should be taking on.
Yeah.
Um, and I know you touched on this a little bit, but what's the difference, like coming to a new country as an adult versus coming as a kid? Like, do you see any?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have so many clients where, you know, I'm first generation born in this country. Um, and I had to navigate. Yeah, I always think about this. So something as simple as applying to college.
Mhm.
My parents don't have college degrees, right? My dad, I think he maybe finished sixth grade. He has a sixth grade education, but he is an aircraft mechanic and inspector. The man is brilliant, but not what we would consider academic, right? Um, he can literally take apart an entire airplane engine and put it back together. That's literally what he does daily. But when it came to things like applying to colleges, my dad, this is like, what is this? What is this paperwork? So I had to do all of that stuff myself. Come to find out there were deadlines. So I only got into one college because it had open
Oh,
enrollment year round. All the other colleges, I missed the deadlines too,
oh no.
right? I didn't even know what this was. Again, I'm saying all of this to say, even if you're born in this country, there's still major challenges because you're having to navigate systems that your parents more than likely have no idea how to navigate. But there's a major disadvantage when you're coming as a teenager. Like my husband came over when he was a teenager or right before becoming a teenager, and it was very hard for him.
Mhm.
Um, you know, simple things like just trying to figure out how to get certain assistance, how to get, how to make go through again navigating these systems. I think anytime that we're talking about immigrants in this country, I think too often people don't realize that, sometimes they see the success of immigrants and they're like, oh, look at all the success that these immigrants have been able to have, not realizing how hard and how much work. And so maybe for the regular person who was born here, we're having to put in 3, 4, 5 times the effort because we're learning things that we never even, there was no language for. And no one else before us has navigated. So we're for the first time ever, like, what are these things? How do you do it? Right. Um, yeah. So I think, but I guess all of that to say, when you come over as a child, I think it is extra hard. But I also think the first generation being born here is equally as hard. And even when we talk about things like identity, I have this conversation all the time. I was not born in Jamaica or Guyana. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, right? So for a lot of Jamaican or Guyanese who see me, they're like, you're not Jamaican enough or Guyanese enough. But then to Americans, I'm not American enough, right? I'm not an African American because I'm the first one in this country.
Mhm.
So I don't necessarily identify with African American culture. Um, that's not my culture, but also I'm somehow straddling these worlds of where do I fit in? And sometimes that, I mean, again, I talk to so many families, and this is like a really hard place for immigrant children to be in, even first generation,
Yep.
because it's hard to know I don't fit any of these things. So then you kind of have to find your identity somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
right? I mean, how was it for you, Amy?
Same thing. Yeah. my parents came over in the 70s, and I'll just tell you a real quick funny story about New York City since you're from the area. But my dad was in the New York City area. He was applying, he's a doctor, so he was applying to hospitals for internships and this and that. And he saw somewhere in some newspaper or something, a hospital in Buffalo had an opening. So he called them, and they had like a phone interview. And then he was like, how can I get there by subway? And they were like, it's a little farther than a subway to get all the way up to Buffalo, New York. And he just didn't realize that like New York was bigger than New York City at the time. And he just told my kids the story like a couple weeks ago at dinner. So but yeah, like things like this. I have the same problem. I was born and raised here. My husband came over when he was 19 from India. And so just the way we interact with our parents and our kids and things is very different. You know, and going back to, your kids doing things that you don't know how to do. I will be the first one to say my kids are smarter than me in math and physics and all of those classes that I never did well in. And they're excelling in all of those things. And then, I can't help them with their homework, or I that stopped many years ago. But even like my son, he's 16. He's like, Mom, there's some program in the university, over the summer. It's like a summer camp, and I want to do it. And he went and found the application and this and that. He just came to me and was like, here, you need to pay this fee. I was like, oh, okay, what is this program? Tell me about it. So it's good and bad, I think. But I definitely see the challenges. I've lived through the challenges. So I know that it's hard.
Yeah. But you said something, Amy, that I think is so important and humbling, right? If we do this right, our kids are smarter than us.
Yeah.
And that's amazing,
Yeah.
right? That they have these opportunities to surpass us in ways exponentially, which is all, if you think about it, that's what our parents wanted, which is why they came to this country, which is why they brought us to this country, had us in this country, was that the hope of one day that our children's children and our children's children's children would surpass us exponentially, intellectually, financially, opportunity wise. And so the fact that that's happening tells me that the very reason your parents came here,
Yeah.
exactly, right? Like their dreams are unfolding.
That was the American dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know you like to share stories of people and families on your podcast. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have a podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. And it is the Narrative of Untold Stories podcast, which is, for years, I've been wanting to, just being Jamaican and Guyanese, what the oral tradition is, you sit down and you tell stories. This is what we do culturally. I remember when my grandpa was alive on my mom's side from Guyana, when all the cousins and all the aunties and uncles would come together around Thanksgiving or Christmas, we'd all be there and we'd all sit on the floor, and grandpa would be sitting on the couch and he'd be telling us Brother Anansi stories, right? And so Brother Anansi is a folklore story out of Africa. And it's usually used to tell stories of lessons and trials and how people overcome them. But it's all oral history. And my grandpa would always tell these stories. And we would all, down to the babies, to the adults, we're all sitting on the floor, like listening to grandpa, right? Just sucking in all these stories. And the same thing on my dad's side. My dad his family is from Jamaica, and my grandpa, as well on that side, would always tell stories of the war because he was a soldier. And it's interesting. Have you ever seen that movie Big Fish?
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness, Amy, if you ever get a chance, amazing story.
I'll put it on my list.
Yes. So essentially it's about this this father and the son, and the father tells all these stories, and the son thinks like the father is making, because the stories are elaborate, right? about these crazy things. And you think the father is making the story up. Come to find out that as you go through the movie, that he actually he wasn't really making this as outlandish and as crazy as the story sounded. The dad was actually telling the truth, right? And this so reminds me of my grandpa on my dad's side. My grandpa would tell us stories how he was actually the one who created borax, the cleaning agent,
Yeah.
and how his friend stole the recipe. And
Oh
I
no.
remember telling like my cousins and I, we'd be like, Grandpa is crazy, right? Like, come to find out, there's some truth to that story. And that Grandpa actually wasn't this crazy old man who told these stories, but to all of his stories, there was truth. Like when now that he's dead and gone, and we've done some digging and we've done some different things, we come to find out that there's a lot of truth there. And as a child, I've always picked that up of storytelling. And I remember feeling called to do this now as an adult and I think even part of the reason why I went into therapy is because I get to hear people's stories.
Yeah.
I get to share and bear witness to the stories of their life. And I get to hold space for that. And I get to create safety. And sometimes I get to help them rewrite those stories so that they aren't just the victim, but how are they becoming the heroine, right? How are they turning that story around and changing the story of who they are to fit more of who they would like to become? And I realized that my entire life's calling has been around stories. All of it is connected. And so on my podcast, I have the pleasure of holding space and sharing stories with the world of these incredible everyday people with everyone. And I'm honored and I'm grateful that I get to do that.
Yeah. And I've heard a couple of your episodes. They are powerful.
Thank you, Amy. And you are also on, and you will
Yes.
in a couple of weeks. Yeah, everyone can check that out too.
Nice. Um, yeah, I think your mission is great because everyone has a story. And like I said, I listened to a couple of your episodes before we first met. And yeah, there are some very powerful stories that you've shared. So that's amazing work that you're doing. I love it.
Thank you.
Talk about your blog and what kind of content you have over there.
Yeah, so on Medium, I actually have a blog that is related to the podcast. So if you are a reader instead of a listener and you would rather because sometimes I know that the podcast can be like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Let's say you don't have that time. Let's say you just want, okay, tell me what's the gist of it, right? You can do a quick 6-minute read, run to the blog, read the blog, get everything you need, see what resonates. I've just found the blog to be so much more helpful. And so the blog is, you guys can find that at Luna Sky Wellness, and that's on Medium. So if you guys want to hear it, I would love for you guys to subscribe, like it, share it, give me some feedback, tell me what you think. Or if you would like to be a part of the podcast, if you have an amazing, incredible story, or if you just have an everyday story, right? Because I think sometimes we think, wait, I don't have a story. Like it's not that, I didn't really go through anything, or it's not that, crazy. I've just kind of like lived a normal life. That's not a thing. We all have a story. So if you feel courageous and you would like to share your story, don't hesitate to reach out to me and we can set up something. And I would love to be able to hold space for you.
Perfect. And so where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I am at Luna Sky Wellness on Instagram. Hold on, let me not lie to you. And also, you can find me on Threads as well at Luna's. Hold on, let me find exactly because it is Luna Sky Wellness and Consulting. And the same thing for Threads. So Instagram, Threads, those are the two that I really use. And then also, like I said, YouTube, you can find me, Spotify, Apple Music, as well as Medium.
Yep. And we met on Threads, so we know it works.
Please come on over to Threads.
Yeah. I've met some great people on there.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, this was amazing. I love the work that you're doing. I love that everyone gets a chance to share a story, because you're right. I think we all have a story. And if you haven't realized it yet, it's probably still unfolding, right? So this was really fun. I'm glad we connected, and I'm going to thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Are you struggling to be the best mom you can be? Are you fatigued, overwhelmed, and stressed out? Are you losing precious time with your family because of PMS? If so, sign up for my free gift on how to start living in tune with your monthly cycle. The link to get it is in the show notes below. Use this guide to help you start to eliminate your symptoms of PMS, increase your energy, reduce stress, and fully enjoy this incredible mom life. The way I see it, you have 3 choices. You can try to figure it all out on your own. You can do nothing and stay where you are, or you can get the customized guidance you need to thrive as a mom. The choice is yours. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something from these stories. If you enjoyed this show, please make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast. It really helps this show grow. If you have a mom story you would like to share, click on the link in the description below on becoming a podcast guest. Remember, the content on this podcast is for general information only. It does not replace any medical advice given by your healthcare providers. Please check with your doctor if you have any questions about your specific condition and before starting any new diet or exercise regimen. Thank you, and you will hear from me soon.